Hello everyone. Today we will be seeing the murmurs seen in different conditions, which murmurs are systolic, which are diastolic, etc. Also, this is the part second of the murmurs. I've taken a part one where I have described the variations in murmurs, variations with respect to different conditions. I'll be linking down that video in the description. You all can check that out. So today we'll be seeing the different conditions how the murmurs are seen, and here I have summarized it in a single page so that it is easier for you to revise. So let's get started. Coming first to the continuous type of murmurs. Now there are two conditions in which continuous murmurs are seen in PD, that is patent ductus arteriosus, and in coarctation of aorta. Now how to differentiate this? The PDA murmur is characteristically machinery type, and remember that the murmur in coarctation of aorta peaks at S2. Coming next to the holosystolic murmur. Now it is seen in three conditions: mitral regurgitation, tricuspid regurgitation, and in case of VSD. Now here I have written the places where the murmur is best heard. So in mitral regurgitation, the murmur is best heard at apex. In tricuspid regurgitation, in second and third intercostal space, and in VSD, third, fourth intercostal space. Also remember that the murmur of VSD is very loud and a thrill is present. Now why do we need to remember all this? Because when the question is asked, a case scenario is given and it is described that so and so systolic murmur was best heard at the apex. So we know that it is a systolic murmur, that is it can be either of mitral regurgitation, tricuspid regurgitation, or VSD. And when they mention best heard at apex, we come to the diagnosis of mitral regurgitation. Now coming to the main part, the systolic murmurs and the diastolic murmurs. Now in aortic stenosis, the murmur is systolic, because in aortic stenosis the ventricles contract. And the blood is unable to enter into the aorta, so the murmur will be heard during the systole. Here remember the murmur is crescendo decrescendo type. Here you can remember this as a diamond shape, and that it is crescendo decrescendo type. Coming next to more two conditions which have a holosystolic murmur that we had seen in mitral regurgitation and tricuspid regurgitation. Now how to differentiate this? Remember that the murmur of tricuspid regurgitation, it increases in intensity with inspiration, whereas there is no such increase with inspiration and mitral regurgitation. So this is the difference, how you will be differentiating if it is mitral regurgitation or tricuspid regurgitation. Also best heard can be used to differentiate. The mitral regurgitation murmur is best heard at the apex. It is a very important point. Coming next to the diastolic murmurs. Now in mitral stenosis, let's understand the mechanism. So in mitral stenosis, what happens is, so during systole the blood from the left ventricle will enter into the aorta, so there is no problem during the systole. But during the diastole, when the blood has to enter into the left ventricle from the left atrium, due to this stenosis which is present, there will be a murmur. So that is why the mitral stenosis murmur is a diastolic type. Now mitral stenosis is important, so let's understand it in detail. Now first we need to remember that the S1 in mitral stenosis is loud. Also the murmur doesn't start at H2 itself, but it starts at a point after S2. This is known as the opening snap. One more characteristic point is that there is a pre-systolic accentuation which is seen. Pre-systolic accentuation which is seen, and this is due to atrial systole, and this accentuation will be absent in cases of atrial fibrillation. So that is an important point. Coming next to the aortic regurgitation and pulmonary regurgitation. Now this again is a diastolic murmur and it is a decrescendo type. Okay, decrescendo और दरिया के जैसे होता है. Decrescendo, that is down going, or you can remember it as दरिया. Also these names are given for these conditions. Now the murmur in aortic regurgitation is Austin Flint murmur. You can remember it as aortic regurgitation, Austin Flint murmur, and the murmur of pulmonary regurgitation is called as the Graham Steele murmur, seen in cases of pulmonary artery hypertension. Now for the murmurs topic, I think knowing this table as well as the first part of the video, that is the variations, will be enough. So understand this topic, write it this way in your 20th notebook, because this topic is important and has been previously asked in AIMS also and in NEET also. So I hope it was helpful. Thank you.